welcome to episode number 16 of Profit or Loss, or what I like to call it, Joey Loses Money. I recently purchased a bundle of items that are faulty, they need to be fixed, and then hopefully I can sell them for a profit. And this is how they packaged the items. It's either a suitcase or like a really big laptop bag. Maybe I can add this to the profit. I'm just really interested to see how they actually packaged it, to be honest. And I can assure you that what's inside it will be more exciting. Here are two faulty Xbox One S games consoles. I paid a relatively good price of £40 for both of these consoles, so £20 each. Even if I fix one of them, I should be able to claw a profit, but fixing two, we're gonna be quids in. Unfortunately, however, I do not know the faults of these consoles because they weren't listed in the eBay listing. Starting with Xbox number 1. It's a disc edition, we know that. I don't know if they're 500 gig or 1 terabyte consoles. Has in fact been opened before. Condition wise, lots of grub in the holes on top, which is pretty standard with these because of how old they are now anyway. But overall, not in horrendous condition. I'd actually give this a solid 6.3 out of 10. Let's go ahead and plug in the power and see what happens. Nothing blew up, which is a result. Do we actually get power? We do, we get a beep. But nothing, unless it's just being a little bit scared. No, a beep, but nothing. Okay, a very common issue with these is a beep on, beep off. However, this is just beep, beep, bada beep, bada beep, like a multimeter. I also get power to the disk drive. Oh, we are going to be so quids in. Come on, what was it? Because it took it back in, I was pressing it so many times. Sims 4, let's go. It's got to be worth at least 30p. Oh, it's on. I've just pressed it once more and it's on. And it's just turned off. Okay, so maybe it is a beep on, beep off. Like I said, a common issue. The unfortunate thing is that it could be absolutely anything. I've also just tried putting it into safe mode, but exactly the same thing. It just beeps on and then beeps off. Without any more hesitation, let's get this console apart. So we have a 500 gig hard drive. Again, I'm not gonna complain, it's not too bad. It's just 500 gig nowadays is so hard to sell. When you've got some games that are taking up, 200 gigs worth of space, 150, it's not enough. I wish there was more hours in the day so I could sort all of this out. First things first, I'm actually gonna try another hard drive in the machine, as well as swap out the actual cable that's used, because as I learned the hard way recently, these can go faulty. So I'm just gonna try a nice modest 1 terabyte in replacement, just to see if we get the exact same issues as a beep on, beep off. Plug in the power, we get a fan spin. What happens? Console beeps, fan spins a little bit, but I don't think anything other than that happens because this light, oh, it's just spun again. It's spun again. It's like it's almost attempted to turn on, even though I'm not pressing the button. So let's disconnect the hard drive entirely. Just see if we get any change. We get fan spin, we get white light. And it beeps on, beeps off. Okay, so it's nothing to do with hard drives, supposedly, which is good because it can actually be the most expensive part in these older consoles. I think now we have to actually get down to the motherboard itself to see if we can spot any liquid damage or anything along those lines. Whilst we're here, I've actually disconnected the disk drive and the Wi-Fi card as well, just to see if we get the same symptoms, just to kind of rule it out as we go along. So I go to press the power button, now we get the fan spin. Exactly the same symptoms. I've now got the motherboard out of the chassis itself and I'm just quickly inspecting the ports because that can be sometimes an indication of beep on, beep off if we have any shorted connections in any of these, and they all look okay. The clasp is broken on the HDMI port, so it's gonna wiggle about a bit, but that shouldn't actually cause an issue. Now in continuity mode, I'm actually gonna go around the board just where we have the different voltages. Do we have a short on the 3.3? No short on 3.3. Do we have a short on the 5? No short on the 5. 1.8, do we have a short on 1.8? Nope. Do we have a short on 1.1? No, we don't. Short on Southbridge 1.1? Nope. And Southbridge 1.8? No. And I know that we don't have a short on the 12 volt line because the console turns on. So let's go under the scope and do a bit more investigating. I've just inserted power into the board as well and checked those voltage rails again, and I don't have any weird voltages, so we can write that off. It seems to be all okay. Sometimes an area in question is the TDP IC. I mean, this hasn't been changed before. This is the original one, and diverting our attention back over to this HDMI port that was a little bit dodgy, but to be honest, looks okay on the face of it on the inside, and this is all just dust here. Yeah, all of these connections seem to be absolutely solid. So I wouldn't say there was an issue here. Giving it a quick clean, Just to confirm, yeah, that looks all right. Another area to pay attention to is this area. This is the NCP power management IC, responsible for a lot of things. Funny enough, power being one of them. Sometimes a quick change in this can sort out an issue. This is the main power rail, the 12 volt down the right hand side of the console. And again, because we have 12 volts, I don't think the issue is going to be here. However, this is another IC that constantly fails, and for me is usually beep on beep off. This is the little RAM IC. I don't actually know what it's called. It's called U9F1, but the chip itself is 51916 TI69K. But if I'm being honest with you and we zoom in, none of those pads look torn. It's usually this one here and this one, the brake connection, that I've had experience with. But again, this looks all right. Looks really clean. Checking around. Oh, we have some. What's that? That's a scratch there. Hey. Oh, what's that? What's happened here? We've got two things. This, which looks like a crack on the actual... Oh, this might be game over. That's a crack on the actual CPU, or APU, sorry. And then we've got this. Okay, that's a little bit of nothing. This is also a little bit of nothing. Do we have anything else going on then? All right, there's a lot of scratches here. And this wasn't me because I like to use a tool. Wow, this could have cut these traces here. These ones as well. These ones, I mean, they all kind of look okay, but that one goes right over here. Look at that. Oof. Do we have any others in this sort of area? Again, someone has taken this off the first time. Ravagely is what I would say. Again, just circling around the APU to see what's that. Nothing. Bit of dust. This is looks like some sort of flux. This something. Okay, do we have any more cracks around the APU? It doesn't look like it. These lines here are a great place to start. Can have a look and see if these ones here, because they look the most damaged, I might have to scrape them away and just see if we get continuity from one side to the other. And then we can always just put some conformal coating back on if we manage to fix it. It's usually the back of the board that people fail and slip and tear traces. So on this anchoring point here, we don't really have anything obvious, no scratches. Neither on this one. This one also looks okay. And this one also looks okay. I'm just a bit worried that I might have to go through all of this and it's just going to be a bad APU because that is damaged. I don't know whether it's taken a knock. You can see here the little dent on the side, and then you've got like a multi-layered PCB for the APU, and then you've got the solder balls underneath. None of the solder balls themselves look affected from what I can see, but looking at that multi-layered, if that corner is cracked, could have some issues. I've just looked at the company information on eBay for the seller who sold me these consoles, and they do repairs. So I might have been finessed here. Of course, it's my own fault for not doing my research beforehand, but hopefully you live and you learn. Let's use our little grinding pen to grind away at some of these traces, just to confirm a continuous path on them. Meter is in continuity mode, which is the mode that beeps when we get a complete circuit. So let's have a look, shall we? Do we get continuous path here? We do. Do we get one here? We do. Here? We do. Here? Oh! Yeah, okay, no, we do. Yeah, okay, so none of those have cut through any of the traces. Voltage rails are present. We have that slight damage on the APU, which could be causing our issue, no doubt. Nothing in the ports to show that there could be a connection bridging. South bridge standby rails seem to be showing okay. I'm going to whiz around the board really quickly to see if I can see any shorts on any components, but I doubt that's going to be the case if we have all of our voltage rails present. If everything is all good, I'm just going to change out probably two chips. The NCP power management IC and the RAM IC that I showed you just a second ago. At this point, it's also important to mention that I have tested the board underneath a thermal camera to see if there were any specific heat spots that I was getting. Other than the APU and the self bridge, which traditionally actually get hot, there wasn't anything obvious. Looking at this a little bit closer, I seem to have found a little MOSFET that's behaving weirdly, just after doing a bit of a general inspection. So if I put the meter into diode mode, and red probe goes on to ground, and we have a little MOSFET under here, which is linked to a bigger MOSFET. If I measure the gate of this MOSFET, I only get 0.004. Now a diode reading on that should be somewhere between, I'd say anywhere ranging from 0.4 to 0.7-ish. So it's a big difference. Now if I put the meter into continuity mode and I go to measure on that MOSFET, we have a short on the gate, which I'm pretty sure shouldn't be a thing. So I'm just going to replace that MOSFET and see if we get any different behavior. Not the best soldering job in the world, however, let's check and see if we at least now get a reading of some sort. Diode mode, red probe on ground, black probe on that exact same place. There we go, 0.6, so we have a reading now. So I've put bare basics back into the console. Just connecting the power supply now to see if we get anything different and whether it just stays on, I guess. Or do we get a large heap of smoke? So the fan spun, which is really good news, without me pressing the on button. So if I press the on button now, does it light up is the first question. No. So we still get the exact same symptoms. The button doesn't light up and the fan just continuously tries to spin, and it beeps on, and eventually then it just beeps off. Now interestingly, okay, so that's gone again, that MOSFET. So something has blown that MOSFET again. But I think what I need to do now is inject voltage into the gate of the MOSFET very, very low. And hopefully that will indicate what component might be causing the MOSFET itself to blow every single time. If I'm not mistaken, so I've just had a little bit more of a think about this. So to every MOSFET, there should be like a MOSFET driver. And I think it's going to be linked to this IC here. I don't know what this IC is, maybe some like voltage regulator IC. But if that is linked to this MOSFET and this MOSFET, I have suspicions that this is causing this to blow. Again, I could be completely and utterly incorrect in my findings, but I'm going to change out this IC and the MOSFET again to see if that fixes our issue. All right, here we go, moment of truth. Bare bones plugged in again, power supply plugged in, fan spin. I'm going to leave it for a second and just see if we get another fan spin, because if we do, okay, I don't think it's fixed. I'm going to try and turn it on. No. Okay, I've turned it on, but it's just going to keep spinning, isn't it? Yeah. So we seem to have the exact same issue. I'm just going to disconnect the power. And again, measuring it the same MOSFET. Is it shorted again? It is indeed, so it's shorted. I did inject voltage, but it wasn't doing anything. I don't know whether because you're injecting it at the gate of a MOSFET, whether or not that's actually going to show you like a short. Or maybe, just maybe, it's the bigger MOSFET above the small one which is causing the issues. Because on both the drain and the gate, I get nothing. And I'm always skeptical, especially on MOSFETs like that, on the gate of them, about injecting more than like half a volt. It could be that the MOSFET requires 1 volt or even 3 volt to open the gate, but I don't want to risk it in case I cause further damage. I'm just going to replace the big MOSFET and the little MOSFET and see if that makes a difference. Just to show now for the video, we'll have a look at the diode readings on both of the gates of those MOSFETs because it was 0 before. So now on the big one, I'm getting 0.4 and on the little one, I'm getting 0.5. So again, we've made a change because the big one before was 0. Okay, here we go. Plug our power in, fan spin. I'm gonna guess once. Okay, do we get it again? If we get it again, I don't think it's gonna work. Ah, okay. So it's still doing it all the time. And yeah, we still have those irregularities when I'm pushing the power button on. And if I go back to those MOSFETs, what we're looking at this one, and now it's reading 0, I'm pretty sure. No, that's still showing 0.5. And the bottom one, okay, so the bottom one has shorted again, or something's gone wrong with it, and it's just not doing what it should be doing. The donor board that I got the voltage regulator IC from originally, I wasn't confident in, so I thought I'd replace it again with another donor board that I have. I replaced that little chip again, as you probably just saw, just because the one that I may have picked up, I mean, it could have been faulty. It's from a donor board at the end of the day. We have one fan spin. Do we have another? If we do, it's not good. It's not good. It's not good. Exactly the same thing. I'm going to try one more thing before laying it to rest, and that's going to be to swap out the NCP power management IC. So I'm going to do that now. Pause a second. I actually think this is a no connect, the pad that we see on the screen, but I will just confirm. So if this is pin 1 here, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7, I believe, is a no connect. I really thought I was on something there. Yeah, take a look at this donor board. That trace goes nowhere. Okay. Okay, back together for, I'm gonna say hopefully the last time, but who knows anymore. If it doesn't work here, I think I'm gonna call it quits. Power in, what happens to the fan when we plug the actual power into the PSU? Here we go. Does it spin once, twice, 3 times? There's 1. Any more? No. really. As soon as I was about to say no more, it then spins again. So it's still spinning, yeah? It's just a lot slower now. Now this may sound really stupid, but I am going to try a different fan. Ask me why, and I wouldn't be able to tell you. Do we still get the same symptoms? Power's in. Do we get fan spin? We do. Does it spin again? If it does, we're calling it there. Does it spin? Yes, it does. Okay. It took a while, but it did spin. I don't know whether to just put it down to maybe a potential RAM issue. Obviously, I know that we had the issue with the 2 MOSFETs and that voltage regulator IC, but after changing all of those components and it's still not working, I think it's safe to say we can can this one off and move on to Xbox One S number 2. Okay, Xbox One S number 2, give me some better luck than the previous one. So this is a digital version, so we don't have a disk drive, as you can see here. And this one, it doesn't look like it's been opened. So the chance of fixing has quadrupled. See exactly what it does. Plugging it into power, we get a crackle, which would indicate good power supply. We've got a few little bumps on it. What happens when we go to turn it on? Okay, so we get a beep. Oh no. It's exactly the same issue. Exactly the same issue down to a T. Okay, I've got a feeling that the seller that I actually bought from knows exactly what to do with these ones as soon as they hear the type of beep they get, and that is to sell them on. Let's take it apart and see what's going on under the hood. Same story with this one. I've tried a different hard drive and also a different power supply just to see if that was the issue, but it's not. I'm still getting the exact same issue. Interestingly enough though, if we go to power it on, what doesn't happen is the constant fan spin. So we get the 1 fan spin and that's it. So remember the other one kept spinning, this one doesn't. Oh, it does? These are 2 Xboxes with the exact same issue. I'm just again scanning using my thermal camera to see if, wow, the South Bridge is lighting up. But I think it is supposed to. And then you get all the other chips that light up as well. You get all of the RAM, everything along those lines. But the South Bridge is 30, 32, which I don't think is anything abnormal, to be fair. I think the South Bridge does get hot on initial boot. Doesn't mean that it's not failing though. I might have a case of 2 failing South Bridges on these Xboxes. Let me continue taking it apart and get it down to board level. I've just taken this apart and look at the thermal paste. What on earth are they using as thermal? Is that copper? Let's be honest, it's most probably not copper, but it's definitely not factory. Let's put it that way. I don't know what stuff this is. I've never seen it in my life. It's incredibly thin. That also means that somebody's definitely been inside this console and they are a magician and managed to put the sticker back on without looking like they've been inside it. So again, I will repeat, I think I've been finessed. This thermal paste comes off way too easy and spreads around easily as well. Oh, it's disgusting. The console just turned on for a long time as well. Look, white light, and it's not shutting off. It doesn't have a heatsink, so it's probably overheating and turning off. What's going on? So you apply a little bit of thermal paste. Fan's now back on. Let's press the button. Nothing. Yeah, so I get 1.8 from Southbridge, and I get the 1.1. Do I get standby 1.1? 1.8, yes I do. Do I get 1.1? Yes I do. 3.3, yeah, and 5. Yeah, again, it's one of those ones where everything is now present. I'm going to check that MOSFET again. These 2 down here and see if I get the same result. That would be interesting, wouldn't it? All right, let's check it. Ground at 0.015. And here we get 0.473. And measuring on the voltage regulator that's next to it, exactly the same. So either that's just normal behavior on a normal Xbox One S and I'm measuring it incorrectly, or both of those relate to exactly what's wrong with these Xbox One S consoles. Again, voltage rails are fine. I've scanned the board for any shorts in continuity mode. Can't find any shorts other than directly on that MOSFET. If I had the tools here to do it, I would just go ahead and replace the Southbridge, but unfortunately, I don't have a stencil. I've paid £40 for both of these boards. I've got a disk drive, I've got a 1TB hard drive, I've got another 500 gig hard drive, plus the casing and the fans, etc. I'll need to obviously test the fans to make sure they actually work. But unfortunately, that is the name of this game. By faulting on eBay, sometimes you're gonna get real good luck, other times, not so lucky. Unfortunately, a rather quick, spectacular Sally spreadsheet. If we minus the £40 off of here, it brings our total profit, or should I say loss, sorry, to minus £188.22. It's gonna have to get better soon, and hopefully we're going to make some actual profit fixing things. I'll get hold of a stencil for reballing the Southbridge and the RAM ICs, just so it gives us a few further options in the future. Click here to watch the previous episode of this series. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Peace.